How do I accommodate my autism at a work conference or a work event? Hi, I'm Brett, the Audi Boss. I'm an autistic leader with ADHD, and I have over 10 years of leadership training and experience. On this channel, I talk about ADHD and autism in the workplace. This video is inspired by two different things: watching another creator talk about sort of the struggles that they were having and some anxieties about being at a work conference and how they were accommodating themselves, and Dr. Megan and Neff's The Autistic Burnout Workbook. I struggle really hard with work travel, work trips, work travel, work events. If I have to leave my normal routines and my normal situations and the comforts of my normal schedule, it really throws me off when I have to go to a work event, and particularly if I have to travel for a number of days for a work event. If it's a conference or some sort of event where I'm going to be at it for 2 or 3 days, I really struggle with it. So I've come up with a number of different ways that I approach this, and I wanted to share some of those ideas. One of the first things that I always do is I try to make sure that I'm always packing whatever mini travel stims I can find. So in particularly things like this that I can kind of grip and feel inside of my hand, something I can kind of conceal as I need to. I will keep something like this, or even something that's even smaller, in a pocket. If I can wear a suit jacket or a sweater thing that has like a pockets inside of it, I often will keep this inside of my pocket, and you'll see my hand sometimes in my suit jacket pocket so that I can kind of walk around, and it may look like I'm being quite casual, but my hands are usually in my suit jacket pocket, gripping or working through that. For me, what are awkward conversations, or just sort of any conversations that I'm sort of like struggling to find my way through, or situations that I'm trying to like strategize or think through, anything like that, where I'm just, if my brain's constantly playing or thinking, or I'm reading the room, or the room is overstimulating me, or I'm getting overwhelmed in any way, shape, or form, really, I'm usually doing this, quite intensely inside my suit jacket pocket. I'll also find other kinds of stims. I'll look for small stims that I can kind of bring along. I might find, something like that. I might find something like a pen. I'll often always have a pen in my hand, but I'll just be doing something so that my hands are stimming. If I can keep my hands busy, in a pocket, or just sort of even something when I'm like walking around like a conference room floor, if I can keep something in my hand while I'm doing that, it sort of helps me. When I travel and when I arrive, usually the night before a full day event or a conference or whatever it is, I will look at my schedule, the schedule of things that I have to be at, the schedule of where I have to go, and I will bake in time where I can kind of go and hide or get out of those situations and try to find resting periods. Can I bake those times in? I will set alarms for myself to go remind me to go do those types of times to go rest and so sort of figure it out. I will scout locations inside in a conference event or something, where is somewhere that's a little bit more quiet? Where is somewhere that I can kind of be quiet or be kind of alone? Where is somewhere where I can kind of go off and process or think or do different things like that? Also, when I'm traveling or looking at different work trips or something like that, I try to think about like an unmasking level. Like, how much do I have to mask in this situation or that situation? Are there situations where I can mask a little bit less? Are there people, specifically work colleagues or work friends, that I can unmask slightly more? I don't take an all or nothing approach to something like this. I think about it in terms of, can I unmask 50% less, 40% less, 20% less, 10% less, depending on this person or that person? Is there like a friend or a buddy or a colleague that I can kind of sit with, or, spend more time with, somebody who I can go to verbal process with, someone that I can go to have meals with, someone that I can kind of lean into, who can kind of be like my my allistic buddy, someone who I can go with so that I can see how I'm supposed to be, or how I'm supposed to act, or how I'm supposed to behave, or what I'm supposed to do in different situations by watching this friend or this colleague. Can I spend a little bit more time sort of hanging on to them, watching how we're supposed to act and how we're supposed to be, and see what the rules are supposed to be, the social rules, through that person? And then I can kind of camouflage my way through, or mask my way through that thing or that event by having observed that person. If that person doesn't know, we will talk it out, or we will strategize. Who's my buddy? Who's my friend? Who's my colleague that I can kind of latch onto? So at least I have somebody to figure it out with. It helps me be less awkward and less strange if I have somebody who I can kind of figure it out with. I feel less anxiety, less, awkwardness if it's like, well, if I don't know and this person doesn't know, at least we're together trying to figure it out together, and that makes it a lot less awkward for me, and it reduces my levels of anxiety. And then I just look for opportunities where, I don't have to be participating in certain things. Like what are the opportunities that I can self-accommodate to go back and rest, to recover, to just zone out if I've had to be masking really hard all day. This is where specifically Dr. Neff's plan about having a masking plan. We can't always unmask all the time for situations like this, or at least that's what I have found. So when I'm going into a situation like this, what is my unmasking plan? What is my masking plan? How will I prepare myself the night before something where I have to mask really hard? How will I start the day out throughout the event when I have to mask really hard? And then what is my recovery plan at the end of the day? And then the next day, if I'm able to. Dr. Neff writes in detail about those tips inside the Autistic Burnout Workbook. There's a specific masking plan that they have outlined inside the book that sort of helps kind of break down the different things for you to assess and figure out what your needs are. So I know specifically when I do that, the night before, I have to sort of ruminate a lot over that thing and strategize and think about all the different things that I'm trying to anticipate so that I can manage as many of my own expectations to understand what I need to do when I'm heavily masking that next day or for however many days that is. I think about who my buddies are. I think about who my connections are, who I have to see, who I have to talk to, who I can latch onto. But then I also think about my alone time. I think about my meals. I think about how I'm eating, how am I being fed, what are my specific foods that I can eat, specific foods that I can't eat, how am I getting water, how am I getting rest, how am I getting around, how am I getting from one place to another. So I think all those things through. I'll be thinking about those things in the morning as well as I start my day. And then as I'm going through the day, if those things go off plan, how am I accommodating myself when those things don't go well? Or if everything goes really, really smoothly and then I don't know what to do with myself because things have gone so well, but I'm anticipating things to not go well, I then have to sort of give myself back, some grace on some things like that. And I have to think about the recovery time that I will have at the end of that day. Maybe some friends or colleagues or somebody or group of people are going to go off and go do something that's fun. Do I want to continue to do that because it might be fun for me, even though my anxiety is telling me it probably won't be, but there's a chance it could be. Do I want to go do that? Do I not want to go do that? But if I do that, I need to then give myself resting time for recovery time to sort of not talk to anybody, to be silent, to be quiet, to just either sit in quiet or sit with a comfort show or comfort music or sit comfortably or go to bed early or rest a little bit more or just sort of do something that's going to help me with my recovery time after that. And then think about how the morning's going to start the next day. Do I have to do it again the next day or can the next day be more recovery time? And then what can I do to accommodate myself while I travel? And what other things am I building into all of that plan? So I think about all those different things. I think about what are the routines that I normally have at home or in my normal work environment. Can I try to bring any of those routines with me? And if I can bring those routines in with me, what are those ways that I can do that? So certain foods that I want to eat, certain drinks that I want to drink, certain things that I want to do in the course of my day, how I start my day, how I end my day, different things that I do to accommodate myself throughout the day. As I'm traveling, what's near me, what's nearby. Oftentimes I'll research all the different things in that area in terms of like food, restaurants, gas stations, mini marts, pharmacies, restaurants, bakeries, things like that, grocery stores even, and then I think about all those different things. It sounds crazy as I'm describing this to you, but it happens so naturally and so instinctively, but it works for me. And it always, when I give into those accommodations for myself, because I know those are things that I need, when I give into myself for those things, it really doesn't feel stressful. Like it sounds stressful as I'm describing this to you, but it's really not, because when I give myself those things and I have all those different accommodations, all those needs met while I'm on the road and while I'm in hotel rooms and while I'm doing these different things, everything goes more smoothly. I'm very relaxed about it. I don't worry about it. It's when I don't give myself those things, that's when I get stressed. That's when I get anxious. That's when I get more overwhelmed or more panicked and more anxiety around those different things. I hope some of that was helpful. Definitely check out the Autistic Burnout Workbook, because even if you're not currently in burnout, the strategies that Dr. Neff has inside that book, and also self-care for autistic people, it can really help to sort of think about how to meet your own needs, how to give yourself accommodations for anything that you're doing all the time. I definitely recommend both of those books from Dr. Megan and Neff to check those out. Both are available as audios. Both are available as actual physical books, so be sure to check those out wherever you pick up your books. I've got links in the description below for areas where you can get them more quickly. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has helped. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow, and it helps get my videos in front of more people to help more people for whatever the situations are that they need. Thanks for watching.